The good, bad, and ugly. It's back. I forgot we did this until this morning. The good, the bad, the ugly. And we can kind of put the bad and the ugly together, so however you want to take that. 713-780-ESPN. When you lose 4 games in a row, you have to start with the bad, and you have to start with the ugly. What was the bad? What was the ugly for you, Blankers?
Well, the ugly for me was the bullpen in total, because you had a lead in, I think, every game. Or maybe not Sunday.
No, you let it. You were tied, though, late. Right. That's the only game you didn't lead. You're right.
Yep. So the bullpen, which we knew was something that maybe was not addressed to the level that we had comfort with, there was a concern there. There's obviously more of a concern now because they weren't able to hold a lead. Opening day was one thing with a 4-0 lead, but they weren't able to hold a lead. So the ugly to me was the bullpen. The bad was just overall the offense. I just thought overall the offense, and obviously the first guy you look at is Abreu, but overall the offense, for the most part, to me, was a bit disappointing. And, you were getting some production from guys towards the middle to the bottom. You need more production from the top because Jordan's struggling and Abreu's struggling. And you look at it and go, this is not the offense that I thought we'd see. But again, I'm not losing my mind like a lot of people because it's 4 games in.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose my mind either. And Jordan, he hit the ball really hard yesterday. So I'm not worried at all about Jordan. And individually, some of the offensive pieces have been pretty good. So I'll save those for a minute because that's going to be in the good side of things. The bullpen has been really, really bad. And this was a concern that you had. I had people arguing me on YouTube, well, you don't know how to construct a roster because why would you have better middle relievers? Why wouldn't you have better middle relievers? It is a bane of this team right now. Taylor Scott, and look, it's super early, 7.71 ERA and 2 1/3. Brian Abreu, super early, got roughed up in his first outing. He's got an 11.57 ERA. Ryan Presley, who's one of your dudes, he's got a 9 ERA. And again, it's very, very early. We understand that. Brandon Bielak, a 5.40 ERA. Rafael Montero, 5.40 ERA. Parker Mashinsky, a 13.50 ERA. The bullpen is atrocious. We knew the bullpen was going to be atrocious. We didn't realize it was going to show up as quickly and as ugly as it did. Now, those numbers are going to change because it is very, very small. I don't like looking at numbers 3 games in a whole lot or 4 games in a whole lot. But when you have a major league bullpen that consists, I could count 3 guys. We might debate Seth Martinez. I can count 3 guys that really don't belong on a professional baseball team at this level. Taylor Scott, in my mind, doesn't belong on not a good Major League Baseball team. Parker Mashinsky, in my mind, doesn't belong on a good Major League Baseball team. Brandon Bielak, in my mind, doesn't belong on a good Major League Baseball team. That's 3 without even batting an eye and even having a conversation. There's 2 more that are on the fence, like Seth Martinez. I could see him. I could see him having one of the last bullpen spots on a good playoff team. But you could debate that. You could talk about that. And the other one's Ronel Blanco, who pitches today. He wasn't on this team for a majority of last season. Neither was Seth Martinez. So what we thought was going to be a weakness showed up in its first 4 games in a major, major way.
Yeah, look, I will wait to see if spring training Blanco is who we see tonight. Because spring training Blanco looked like whether he figured some stuff out, changed some things, added something, whatever. I understand that he was fairly unhittable in the spring. Now, how that translates, because we've had people tell us, hey, it was against good major league hitters. It wasn't against the B teams. We'll see. So I'm not going to put him on the list yet. We already know how I felt about Mashinsky, and everybody was, oh, no, he's a different one. No, he looks exactly the same to me. Bielak, agree with you 100%. Seth Martinez, to me, is a guy that's spent a full season on this team before. I think he's capable of doing, like we've talked about, whether it's just mop-up duty, multiple innings and extra inning games, which he's been, given that task in the past, things like that. I'm fine with that. I think he can get some guys out. But to your point on the rest of them, yeah, I mean, this, for as much as everybody is pointing fingers at Joe Espada, this should be pointed, all those fingers should be pointed at Dana Brown first, because we knew that this was going to be an issue, or we thought it was going to be an issue going into the regular season. Now here we are.
Yeah, it's not a great look for the Houston Astros. First time they've been swept in a 4-game series since 1978 to start the year. Not fantastic. I understand, going into yesterday's game, I understand the situation. Hader, Soto, lefty, 2 outs in the 9th, runner at first. I totally get the focus on the hitter. Because if you're not focused, it sounds so little league, focus on the hitter. Because if you're not, 100% dialed into Juan Soto's going to beat you, which still sounds a little league. You're a professional, you can hold a runner on as you're dealing against one of the best hitters in all of Major League Baseball. I get it's a tough out. I understand that, he's going to have all of your attention. To allow the go-ahead run to steal second base with the ease that he stole second base in the ninth drives me nuts. I can live with Juan Soto getting a base hit off of me. I can live with Juan Soto getting a hit off of Josh Hader and taking it the other way and being a professional hitter, all of those things. The thing that drove me nuts in the ninth inning yesterday was the lack of attention to the runner at first. All of a sudden, like that, without even a sweat, it wasn't even competitive. The Yankees have the runner in scoring position, the go-ahead run in scoring position. How you could be that unaware about a runner, and I get that Juan Soto's up at the plate, is careless to me.
Well, it's not just careless. It's almost inexcusable in Major League Baseball that you're in a tie game, and I don't care if you think you're going to strike everybody on the planet out because you're Josh Hader. You're in a tie game. You have to make sure that that run isn't in scoring position and doesn't have a chance to score because you're looking at some guys in the middle of the lineup that you're going to have to face, whether you got great stuff or not, that are pretty damn good baseball players that are going to, probably put bat to baseball, whether they make it out or not. And that was just absolutely inexcusable to me. You mentioned it. I mean, it was almost like a walk in the park to get to second base. And you're going, that can't happen most cases anytime, but specifically in that point in the game with a tie ball game and in the ninth, it just that really rattled my cage a little bit.
Yeah, that was a brutal one for me. The bottom of the ninth was sad. Like you heard a lot of the we weren't lucky, which I don't love hearing that 4 games into the season. A lot of people were criticizing the Joe Espada quote, and some people are just so pro Espada and anti-Dusty that Espada's not getting a lot of the criticism that Dusty probably was. Espada said after the game yesterday, not luck on our side. Jordan hit 2 balls today that should have left the yard. That's true, but they didn't. I like the fight, man. I like the fight. That's what it's all about. Give yourself a chance. You fight until the last out of the game, and if you do that, you're going to find yourself in a good spot to win games. Look, I don't really disagree with the quote. Like, yeah, I feel like they were a little snake bit, but that's baseball. I agree that, hey, it's great to have that spirit. It's great to have that fight. That quote reads a little like win one for the Gipper. We're an undermatched team that's trying to be on the same level with a team that we find superior. I didn't love that quote from Espada.
I didn't either because I felt like it was I had it until you were but I felt like it was almost making excuses or basically like trying to soften the blow of we lost instead of just saying, hey, tip your cap. They came out. They're a good baseball team. They had they played well. We were in the ball games. You can just say you were in the ball games. You were competitive. You had chances. That's all you can ask for. You weren't the Angels having a team meeting 2 games in because you're getting your doors blown off and getting absolutely laughed off the field. You're in every one of those games, but you don't need to. Maybe that's part of the learning curve as the new manager when you meet the media every night of how to handle the media. Because that was not a quote that anybody wanted to hear.
We're in tournament season, right? To me, it sounded like a 15 seed who played a tight game with a 2 and lost by 6.
Yeah.
You're not a 15 seed.
No.
You're supposed to be one of the best teams in all of baseball, and you're making it sound like you were a 20-point underdog.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. It's one of those things where, hey, the ball just didn't bounce our way, but we gave it a fighting chance. We put everything we had into it. No, you're supposed to be a World Series contender. You've had these guys' number in the playoffs for the last several years. People forget at the end of the season last year, they kind of did hand you your bacon again. But at the same time, the reason why is because this is opening weekend. This is the Yankees. This is a bigger deal. Obviously, people are making a huge deal out of it. But as the manager, you're supposed to be the captain of the ship that keeps everybody calm, that goes, hey, it was one series. We had some things that didn't go our way. Let's just move on to Toronto.
I do think it kind of reads that way. It's just the whole, we fought hard. Okay, cool. Cool. You fought hard. You're the Houston Astros. Using Hader in the 9th inning down by 2 runs on Saturday. I don't think it affected his performance yesterday.
No, but I still...
It's twice he's been used down by at least a run. Saturday was even more egregious because you were down by 2.
Yeah, that to me, again, was as much as you and I were talking and I threw up the red flag the first time going, I'm only using him when we're in the league and he has a chance to shut the door, but I'm certainly not using him when he's two runs down. I just think that's misusage. And then I heard a lot of people clamoring for Altuve should have bunted.
I saw that too.
I just disagree with that. I don't think he's the greatest bunter, period. but I think that his bat is lethal. You know, he has a home run in the game and a double. He was hitting the ball well. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm not a big bunt in that spot. Like, I understand it moves the tying run to third, winning run to second with less than 2 outs. Altuve, I think at times can be a pretty good drag bunter when he's bunting for a hit. He'll bunt for a hit every now and then, but drag bunting and sacrifice bunting are two different things.
The one he laid down, it was at Saturday night. The one down third base line was brilliantly placed. But it's different in that situation. You're right.
Those are two different skills. A drag bunt and a sacrifice bunt are a lot different. Now, sometimes early in an account, you'll use a drag bunt instead of a sacrifice bunt because it's like, hey, let's get a hit. But that's not really the purpose in that spot. Plus, it also took a pretty good play from Birdie. That ball is down the line.
Man, it was a great
so,
play.
like, you know, a lot of times we look at the result, hindsight 2020. I agree with you. I wouldn't have bunted there. I don't think that was a blown opportunity for Espada. And then you're 7-26 at home in your last 33 games. That can be bad. It can be ugly. It can be both. That's
no
unbelievable.
Doubt. It is. It's like mind-boggling trying to figure out the whys. And I know everybody's going to point to the batter's eye, but it just shouldn't. Law of averages and otherwise. That just shouldn't be. That's one of those that's almost inexplainable.
We'll get your thoughts on the good, bad, and ugly. You have any more bads and uglies, Blankers, before we try to be positive about this team?
The defense.
Yeah.
The defense was not good. You know, on the one turn where Pena flips it into short right field. That was terrible. Abreu was just, flapping the glove at balls, olaying them. There was a lot of bad defense.
You think Singleton should have caught that bloop yesterday?
I just didn't think he could.
Yeah, I just don't have the athleticism.
I don't think he had the athleticism. If that was somebody else, maybe I would question it. With him being there, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping Altuve took charge, but I think he was a little bit out of his range. It was just a stinking.
Normally,
blooper.
Altuve, any fly ball, he went over and took the one at first base.
I don't mind him if it's Singleton or Abreu, but I prefer the let Altuve swing away though. Altuve's been one of the most big time Astros in big spots, as has Jordan. I get it, and he brings up the good point. You're not bunting for Jake Myers, you're bunting for Jordan Alvarez. But both of those guys can win the game in that at-bat. Yep. Altuve could have won it with his at-bat, and if you take the bat out of his hands and bunt, now you're eliminating one guy who can win it for you. I understand it increases the chances of either tying the game, winning the game with Jordan up, but I don't bunt there. I don't take the bat out of Altuve's hands.
I don't either. I'll take my chances that my two best hitters right now are coming up to the plate and say that I'll live and die with that as opposed to what if something does go wrong with a bunt? What if he doesn't put those runners in scoring position or get the runner to third? And now you took the bat completely out of the hands of one of your best hitters.
Let's go chess, too. I think you take the bat out of both of their hands because, like Rob just said, you walk Jordan.
Yep.
You're going to walk Jordan in that spot because now the winning run's at second base.
That's right.
So the runner at first does not matter. Who do you rather face, Jordan or Tucker? Love Kyle Tucker, and Tucker actually had a better week than Jordan. But you're putting Jordan on the base there. So you're taking the bat out of both of their hands. Like the moment you sacrifice bunt, second and third one out, they're intentionally walking Jordan, setting up the double play, Kyle Tucker coming to the plate. Now, Tucker did have a better week, but that's the reason to me. That's another reason why you don't bunt there. 713-780-3776. But I totally understand the logic.
Jordan might have hit the ball harder than Tucker, but Tucker had a better week.
Yesterday for sure.
Yeah, because Tucker had that one just complete bleeder.
You got off the end. It was off the pull cue is what it was. Yep. It was off the very, very end. 713-780-ESPN. Good, bad, and the ugly. Let's go back out to the HRMP listener line. Jeff, you're on the high with the Bees. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, guys. Hope you had a good Easter weekend. Thanks for taking my call. Just a lifelong Astros fan, born in '66, been following them forever. Watching the pitching, like you guys said, Hunter Brown, Javier, hell, I'll take that J.P. France start every time he starts if that's what he's going to give us. Somebody needs to sit Valdez and Abreu down and explain to them that they have filthy, top-notch pitches. You don't need to nibble, especially Fromber. Quit nibbling.
Yeah.
Throw your stuff over the plate. Let them beat it into the ground. Turn double plays. We've always had one of the top 5 defense year in, year out. We've got good infielders. Let your defense do their job. Quit trying to nibble. Quit getting so damn emotional when they don't give you something two inches off the plate. Throw your stuff over the plate.
I'm with you, Jeff. I hope you had a good Easter, too.
Throw your pitches. You're nasty.
Yeah.
Throw them.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you got it. They are nasty. Here's the question that I would have with that, though. Are they nibbling, or are they just pitchers who don't have great command?
In the case of Fromber, he obviously didn't have his A game. I also thought that he normally lives, as we know, low in the zone, and he just The umpire wasn't giving him the low strike, and yet he didn't adjust. I thought he could have adjusted more because it was obvious in the first couple innings, the first 2 innings alone, he was not going to get that low strike that he kind of lives for sometimes. And you got to kind of just adjust on the fly and do things differently. And then on top of it, I'm not expecting him to be razor sharp in his first start of the year. So.
Yeah. I think Fromber got ground balls. Like, look how many inning double plays he had. That was one of the encouraging things I saw with Fromber in his first start. I would argue they just don't have great command. I don't think they're nibbling. I don't think they have very good command. Brian Abreu, whenever he was coming up, and we saw it early in his Major League Baseball career, walked a lot of hitters. In fact, he still has a pretty good walk rate, pretty high walk rate.
That made me really get on him
early
in his career. That's between his ears.
Yeah, well, I think it's more command. I don't think he's very accurate. Fromber's definitely kind of mental at times. But Fromber, there was the famous story with Brent Strom, and maybe it's infamous, where Brent Strom was like, we tell Fromber to throw it right down the middle because his pitches have so much stuff and he can't control it. Like, do I think his control has improved since he was younger? Yes, but he's never been a guy who can just sit there and Greg Maddux you and carve you up. Like, he relies on his stuff and his movement, and a lot of times stuff and movement's harder to control. I don't think Fromber's issue is that he's trying to nibble. I don't think Fromber has excellent command.
Yeah, as it relates to Abreu, too, the reason I just mean that I started from the jump with a guy that had that kind of a fastball to just say, hey, ride the fastball. It's your best pitch. And you heard it from Smoltz Saturday night too, going, he went back and talked about his first appearance when Soto got him and said, I just don't understand that the majority of his pitches being his breaking stuff when he's throwing 97 plus and he's filthy with it and he's got better control of it. Live and die with that early in the season until you feel more comfortable with your other stuff.
I do think he falls in love with his slider at times, but he has been one of the best relievers in baseball the last 2 years. I would agree that sometimes he falls in love with that slider, and it's harder to command a slider than it is to command a fastball. But I think for both of them, it's more about their lack of control than they're trying to do too much nibbling. Now, you could say Abreu falls in love with his breaking ball more. 713-780-ESPN. Key from L.A., y'all on pace to lose a record-setting 162 games. That's awesome, Key. I didn't realize people from L.A. could do math. I'm happy that you can. 60-30, I told y'all this lineup was weak AF, but y'all two acting like typical Astro fanboys trying to convince people that this compares to Dodgers. This is currently constructed, will not finish higher than third in the division.
So we're one series in, and that's a realistic text from someone who just basically, what should we do? Write the season off? Because the writing's on the wall and what we've seen is too much. It's insurmountable. We can't overcome this. We just have to admit the facts. Their offense is going to be terrible, and this season's going to be a thrown away. I mean, stop it. Really?
Yeah, that's they're just trying to poke fun, which I respect. I tip my cap.
I just think they too. The one thing I kept thinking about was, look, in the last several years, the Orioles before they were good, they swept you. The A's when they were awful, they swept you. The Tigers, when they were terrible, they swept you last year. But the problem is they did it in June. They did it during the season. They did it when you knew what the team was still going to be, where there wasn't that much. Because it's the Yankees and it's opening weekend, all of a sudden people are basically jumping off the ship and losing their mind.
Yeah, 713-780-ESPN, HRMP listener line, 5798. How did y'all feel about Hader pitching the ninth inning of Game 3, down by 2 runs? I'm not a fan of our type guy pitching in minus situations because of that. He's already pitched 3 out of 4 games. Touched on it a little bit, but we agree with you, 5798. Exactly. Hader's thrown 3 of the first 4 games, and you haven't won 1. None of them you had the lead. Now, I don't mind him being used in a tie game against the dangerous part of the Yankees lineup, but up to Saturday was interesting. I think he got pot committed. Like, I think he got pot committed to, now we're going to unleash Presley, Abreu, Hader, and then whenever the Yankees were able to take a 2-run lead, because the first 2 guys didn't necessarily do their job, I think Espada didn't really adjust, which, hey, it's another sign of a young manager. Because, hey, like, I can understand, okay, we're gonna unload 7, 8, 9 for the first time all year. Presley, Abreu, Hader, whichever way you do it. Whether it was Abreu, Presley, Hader that night. And then you surrendered the lead, and you still were, like, lasered into that thought. And I know some people, there was Discord, like, on Twitter and stuff, well, you didn't have anybody else available. I don't care. Like, you have guys on this pitching staff. You have guys on this pitching staff that are supposed to pitch whenever you're in negative spots, whenever you're down. So I don't care if they're not necessarily, like, ready. Well, get them ready. I don't care if Brandon Belak isn't ready and gives up a couple more runs, because the reason you have Brandon Belaks on this team is so that you protect your guys from not having to pitch in minus situations like you saw Saturday night.
No question. There's 2 mounds out there for a reason. You can have your guy. You can have both scenarios painted out. hey, if we got the lead or we're in a tie game, Hader's up, he's ready to go. He's warm. If he's not or we're not and we're down 2, have someone else on the other mound warmed up so you have options and go, hey, plan B, we're down 2. Let's not waste Hader. We got another game on Monday. Sunday. Let's just roll through somebody else. That's part. I really truly believe that was one of those learning curve moments for a new manager.
713-780-ESPN. Let's go back out to the HRP listener line. Patrick, you're in the hive with the Bees. What's going on, Patrick?
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Just want to be a little optimistic. The starting pitching outside of Cromberg, I loved it for the most part. Even JP giving up those 3 runs yesterday, still thought he did good, and he went further than any of the other starters. And I'm gonna stay optimistic. We'll probably take 2 out of 3 in this series and go sweep the Rangers in Little Life Field as we do. So appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Patrick. Look, that's the major takeaway here is this is a good baseball team, and this is one series. And so don't lose your mind. Don't throw throw everything out the window and basically call the season over because of the fact that you lost. I get it. It's the Yankees. I get it. You want to take them. But, I mean, we talk about this with football teams all the time. A lot of times when you rest your veterans during the preseason, when they come in the first 2 weeks of the season, they're not there yet. But they're going to get there. So it's a little early to be jumping ship. Just relax, take a deep breath. Let's just see how the rest of the new month plays out. Because some people are saying they're a terrible March team. They're going to be a great April team. Okay, great. However you want to spin it, but just realize this is not your middle of the road average baseball team. I think they're fine, but I do think that Dana Brown should get a wake up call that sooner rather than later he better be seeing if there's other options out there in the bullpen.